Hey everyone, this is going to be I guess it would be the second version, or second edition of, and I'm going to title it Let's Compare. I originally compared Stephen King's Christine to John Carpenter's Christine, and so I'm going to title it Let's Compare, and this time it is for Pet Sematary. Woo! So I just finished the book, just watched the movie. Let's see here, just so you guys are aware. The book is 411 pages. So, let's talk a little bit about Pet Sematary. And of course, there is going to be...
Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers!
Yes, spoilers. Okay, so, the story behind Pet Sematary. And you're going to notice that the movie is very similar. The movie is very similar, and that owes a lot to Stephen King also writing the screenplay. So there isn't a huge difference between the book and the movie. So the general gist of Pet Sematary is a family. Lewis Creed, his wife Rachel Creed, Ellie, his daughter, Gage, his 2-year-old son, and their cat Church are moving to Maine. And Lewis is taking a job there. He's a doctor. He's going to take a job at the university. And they move in to a country home right next to an old house, which is where Judd Crandall lives. And the road is very busy, lots of trucks all the time. And they notice a path next to their house, and the path leads to Pet Sematary. And beyond the path, there's like a deadfall there. Beyond the path, beyond the Pet Sematary, beyond the deadfall is the other cemetery, the Micmac cemetery, where you bury a body, or like you bury an animal and it comes back. But the ground has gone sour, so the Micmacs used to bury their dead there. But then when the ground went sour, they stopped burying their dead because they came back or something. And the book focuses a lot on the the mythology of the Wendigo. So the Wendigo it's a native folklore monster that was kind of just, they basically used it as kind of like an analogy for if during winter times when food was getting low and people were resorting to cannibalism, they would say, oh, it's the Wendigo has possessed that person. So when Lewis and Judd, the cat dies, Church dies, they go across past the deadfall to bury the cat to bring it back. You can hear the Wendigo in the woods and stuff like that. So that's actually one of the big differences between the movie and the book, is that past the deadfall, in the book it's very mystical. It's very it's frightening, right? Like you hear these noises and they have to walk through the swamp, and it's like there's all these kind of weird stuff that's happening. It was scary when you were reading it. Whereas in the movie, it's not so much like they climb over the deadfall, but it's just kind of seems just like more woods. It doesn't seem like anything mystical. There is loud noises. They do have the noises and stuff like that. And then Lewis sees an apparition, which is not explained at all in the movie. In the book, even in the book, it's not very well explained, but they do kind of try to make it seem like it's kind of mystical, but they don't do a great job in the movie. Okay, so that's kind of the gist. I didn't go through the entire thing, obviously, because there's a lot more. There's the biggest thing is their son, Gage. He gets run over by a truck and dies, and obviously Lewis is going to bury his son in the grave to come back and stuff like that. So the movie, very similar. The movie's pretty much almost beat for beat, save for a few changes. In the book, Judd has a wife, Norma, who passes away from cancer. Not from cancer. She has arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and then she has a heart attack, and then she just gets basically old age, and she's frail and falls apart. So she dies, which leads to kind of Ellie, their daughter, kind of questioning death and worrying about Church dying and stuff like that. So that kind of leads into when Church does get killed. Ellie and his wife and Gage are not there, so Judd gives them the chance because Lewis earlier saved Norma's life when she had a heart attack, so he's like, well, I'll pay you back by showing you this cemetery. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place here, but so that's that. So in the movie, There is Judd does not have a wife. Norman is not present. Basically, they take the Missy Dandridge character that's in the book, who was just a housekeeper, and they kind of morph her into the Norma character and Missy Dandridge character, where she has cancer in the movie and she commits suicide and dies, which then leads into Ellie questioning death and worrying about church. So that I thought was kind of weird why they would kind of get rid of Norma's character, but it's not really it's not something that takes you out of the story. You're not like it doesn't hurt them altering that, so that's not a huge deal. There is the big change for me. I found the two big things. Sorry, the two big changes I found. First was Victor Pascal, which is the guy that dies when he's jogging and he haunts Lewis. Well, he doesn't. He's an angel basically, and he's trying to help Lewis, telling him, don't go across the deadfall, don't go to that graveyard. Same thing in the movie, but his character is used more in the movie. Near the end of the film, he comes back to help Rachel get home, which I thought was a little weird because in the book, Rachel decides to go back, but everything is trying to stop her from getting there on time, just so it gives time for Lewis to bury Gage and then the events to unfold because you begin to learn that the cemetery, the Micmac cemetery, is something's there, like the Wendigo. It's a possession. It's evil and it can control things. And it's rumored, even in the book and in the movie, it's rumored that it actually manipulated events to cause Gage to die. So in the movie, Victor is kind of used a little bit more to kind of guide her home, which felt a little, I don't know, it didn't really feel necessary, I found. But it was neat to have him kind of the character because the character is really cool with the blown off head and stuff like that. But that's one thing that was kind of different that I thought was, it's not completely necessary, but it doesn't really hurt it again. Another change in Pet Sematary that I found was in the book, the cat. When they bury the cat and the cat comes back the very next day, it's not evil like it is in the movie. In the movie, that's what you remember when you watch Pet Sematary. You remember the cat being like super evil, like glowing eyes and stuff like that. Where in the book, it's just kind of a lumbering idiot. Basically, just kills mice, kills rats, kills birds, but it just kind of lumbers around, and it's not completely there, right? Like it's just kind of slow. That's one thing they kind of changed for the movie. They kind of made the whatever gets buried is more evil, and when they come back, they're evil. So that kind of leads into when Judd tells Lewis about burying after Gage dies, and Lewis is thinking about burying Gage up in the Micmac cemetery. Judd tells him about the one time that they buried a human up there, which was Timmy Baterman, who was a soldier who died in the war. The father couldn't stand his son being dead, so they buried him. And when he came back, in the book, he's more just kind of a lumbering, kind of not completely there. But in the movie, he's more of a like zombie, like evil zombie kind of thing. But in the book, they do show that Timmy seems to be possessed by something, because when Judd and his friends go to confront the father and Timmy, and they're gonna say, no, this isn't right, you have to put him down, kind of thing. Timmy turns to them and basically tells them all the bad things, the bad truths about what they're trying to hide, and stuff like that. So it shows that Timmy is possessed by something. When Gage comes back in the book, he goes to Judd's place and with the scalpel, and he actually talks to Judd and was like, hey, I haven't seen you in a very long time. So that goes to show that Gage is possessed by the same evil that Timmy was possessed by. Whereas in the movie, like I said, Timmy was basically a lumbering zombie, and when Gage comes back, same kind of thing. He's just kind of zombie-ish, but he talks a little bit more. But it's not the same kind of. They kind of removed that possession aspect of like being possessed by the Wendigo. They kind of removed it, but they do still keep in the cannibalism. But in the movie, it doesn't really make sense why Gage goes to Judd's house, because why would he go if he, like, when he comes back, it's not like Gage as a baby was like knew Judd and was like friends with him, kind of thing. So I thought that was a little bit different as well. So you can see it's a lot of the changes are they're very minimalistic, but they do kind of alter the story a little bit. They kind of alter the possession aspect or the demon aspect of the story that the book kind of tries to convey with the Wendigo. Originally, the movie and the screenplay did have more Wendigo stuff in it, but they removed it completely from the movie. And also, the only real difference, actually wasn't too bad of a difference, is the ending. The ending still plays out kind of the same, where Lewis burns down the house after confronting his son, puts him down, and takes Rachel to the Micmac cemetery. Although in the book it kind of shows it a little better, because Lewis goes completely insane in the book at the end. Like, his hair turns gray. He's completely out of it. He's just completely lost it. Everything has crumbled for him. So he goes. It kind of shows that why he would think that, okay, she just died. Maybe this will give me more time, or maybe she'll come back normal. So it does kind of make more sense in the book, whereas in the movie he just all of a sudden up and decides, okay, yeah, I'm just going to go to and do it all over again, even though I haven't learned a lesson. Because he doesn't seem like he's completely insane in the movie. So when Rachel does come back in the book, it's just a hand landing on his shoulder, and all you hear is "darling," and then the book ends. Whereas in the movie, they actually originally did shoot it like that, but testing of it didn't really go that well, so they wanted a little more oomph. So they do show the decayed face and her picking the knife up, and fade to black and Lewis screaming. Which, in the book it kind of implies Lewis lives, and implies maybe she isn't completely gross and disgusting. Maybe it did work that time. Whereas in the movie it just goes for the cliche jump scare. Sad, depressing ending. So that is really the biggest differences between Pet Sematary the book and Pet Sematary the movie. I was kind of all over the place here, but so overall, I have to say the movie does actually a really good job of adapting the book, but obviously it was going to be a good job because Stephen King wrote the screenplay, and he insisted that they shoot it. I mean, pretty much page for page, except for the whole Wendigo thing that was changed. So that's why Pet Sematary kind of works really well as an adaptation. The really only fault I find with the movie is some of the acting can be a little wooden at first. But that's something you just kind of expect from an 80s horror film. It's just something you get used to, right? Denise Crosby, she's a little stiff in her role, but overall, I have to say, they did a wonderful job. Director Mary Lambert definitely should be applauded for the work that she did. Originally, it was going to be George Romero that was going to shoot it, but time constraints and stuff like that, so he went on to direct Monkey Shines, and Mary Lambert got the director's role for Pet Sematary. So that is it. That is the biggest differences, or comparing. Let's compare Pet Sematary book to movie. Yeah, really well done, actually. Pretty happy. There is rumors that there is going to be a remake of Pet Sematary. If they do, I would like to see maybe slightly closer adaptation. Maybe incorporate more of the Wendigo. Maybe incorporate more of that kind of that possession of the Wendigo, cannibalistic nature. It kind of showed a little bit more better, I guess. But overall, you would probably be hard pressed to improve it anymore. So I'd say definitely read the book, and you will not be disappointed if you watch the movie, if you haven't already, because it's been like how many years now. So thanks for watching, and this has been the second episode of Let's Compare, the new title I'm giving for this series. If you haven't already, you can click subscribe, and there'll be plenty of more awesome videos coming in the near future, and hopefully they're not as disjointed and all over the place as this one. Thanks for watching.